And we're live on the third Claire and Rob show. So, Rob, how's it gone for you, the Christmas holidays?
Fucking bloody brilliant, mate.
Good. So, you liked your Christmas present?
Uh, yeah, I think
But the important thing is that you had a good time.
it was about the company. It wasn't about the material goods.
hmm
How about yourself?
I had a good time, and I'm pleased with my present. So, yeah, it's all good.
Do you care to name your presents or me?
Well, I got a jumper, and I got one of those posh um, water bottles that you carry around. It's got some sort of metal straw thing. So yes, it's. I guess it's a luxury item that I wouldn't dream of getting myself, because I would just fill up old water bottles, used water bottles, and use that instead. But now I've got a posh metal one, so I'm pleased about that.
Incredible.
And yeah, and we watched Gladiator on Boxing Day. Is that one of your favourite films?
Did your family make you watch Gladiator?
Well, I saw it before anyway, so and I wanted to see it again.
Nice, nice. Yeah, Russell Crowe, pretty solid actor.
He's the most masculine Western man I know.
He's an Australian.
I know. But
Yeah,
there's just something so masculine about him.
really.
I think so. I don't know if other women feel it, but I do. And I think men feel it too, in Master and Commander.
Oh god, what a fucking brilliant film! One of the best films of all time. Master and Commander.
Yeah, yeah.
My
I mean,
god.
I still remember two men. I mean, they both had wives, and they were saying, "Wow, wasn't it wonderful? I'd do anything for him." Meaning, the
Yeah,
character.
that'd
So
be his top guy,
yes.
so to speak.
So have you seen the sequel? It was released in the UK in November.
No, I haven't had the displeasure of viewing the, you know, spin-off. I don't.
Right.
Is it good? I don't know. I
I haven't
can't.
seen it myself,
Can't.
so I'm asking you, Mr. Movie Buff.
I could never. I could never. I'll probably see it. To be honest, I'll probably see it like I see everything. But I'm the all-seeing, all-knowing, all trash of the world. That's a line from Fight Club. If anyone's aware.
I did watch it a long time ago, but it didn't really make that much of an impression on me.
Yeah, it was written by a gay man
Oh, and would you
about
like to sum
men
up the
fighting.
plot and why you liked it so much?
Which Gladiator or Fight Club?
Fight Club. It's basically about what, bare knuckle fighting or something like that. Or is it too complicated and you maybe not? I can never remember the plot, but that's all I can remember about it.
Well,
And
no. I
Mickey
mean, one of
Rourke
the
was in
great
it.
lines is, there was, for generations past, there was a great war, a great revolution, you know, and now there's the great catalog of IKEA. So in that way, it was kind of apt.
Yes. So it's basically a mourning of what a culture of consumerism replacing the age of what male struggle.
I guess. And the divine feminine in the movie is I think she had maybe some Jewish heritage, although I haven't looked this up, but Helena Botham Carter, right? You know that you've heard of this last one of the elites of British society. Absolutely beautiful.
Sorry, who are you talking about? One of the actress to Fight Club?
Yeah, the main squeeze of the movie.
I can't remember who played it. Oh, Helena, was it? Helena Bonham Carter. Right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A triple barreled name.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know much about the Carters?
Well, they're from the liberal. They're from a liberal family, right? The Bonham Carters were a liberal family.
Were they?
Is that? That's what I remember being told.
Interesting.
So
Double last name. Yeah, well, yeah, that would have been like the wife saying, "Oh no, I can't have your last name. My father was a great man, and he had a different last name, so we should combine them together and make a you know a newer name that's both right."
well,
No?
yes. So Helena Bonham's paternal great grandfather was Henry Asquith, the one
Oh,
who took Britain into war.
fucking go. There
Yeah.
we fucking go. So he was like the liberal of the liberals, right?
Hmm.
Who was the one on the other side of that family?
Well, Sir Maurice Bonham Carter was a liberal politician,
Mm.
and his wife was Lady Violet Bonham Carter, and I think she was linked to the Bloomsbury group. We know with the Virginia Woolf and that lot.
Oh, right.
So
Interesting.
yes.
So there are some Semitic ties then.
Are they? Well, I know Violet Bonham Carter was born in Hampstead,
Wasn't
and she,
Virginia Woolf a, you know, who? No?
let me just check about her connection with maybe I was mistaken. Oh yes, it does mention Virginia Woolf in her Wikipedia entry. What does it say? In February 1915, she saw off Rupert Brooke, who had become a friend and correspondent sailing with his division bound for the Gallipoli campaign and death. Violet wrote in 1915 to Aubrey Herbert that Brooke's death was one of the greatest sorrows of her life. And according to Virginia Woolf, in 1916, she said that she had loved Brooke as she had never loved any man. On 30th November 1915, Violet married Maurice Bonham Carter, her father's principal private secretary.
Holy shit.
Mm.
I mean, I knew I was in love, but damn.
But the thing is, she married, another man.
Helena,
Anyway,
right? That's a Greek name, Helena. The Hellenes.
right.
Anyway,
Or thinking of Helen, who's
so if if the daughter, or if I could go back in time and somehow entrench myself in the British aristocracy, Helena would be my choice.
right. Helena Bonham Carter, the actress. You find her
Yeah, yeah,
attractive.
yeah.
Okay.
Woohoo! That goth aesthetic. Oh my lord.
So, which film did you find her? I mean, do you have a favorite film by her?
I mean, okay. Fight Club was my introduction.
Hmm.
The trash film about the serial killing barber, Sweeney Todd, was the entrenchment of my attraction.
Hmm.
With um, the guy who's part what's the correct term? American Indian? Is that the correct term?
Native American?
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, who's a Native American? Sorry, I missed all
The
that.
the dude who was playing Sweeney Todd in the, what is it? The Nightmare of uh I don't know, Elm Street? No. What the you know what I'm talking
Nightmare on
about.
Elm Street. The actor who played Freddy Krueger. Is that the one you
No,
mean?
no, 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 no. Um, you know Sweeney Todd, right? The barber that killed people, the serial.
Yes.
So there was a movie about by the guy Edward Scissorhands, the same
Oh,
actor.
you mean Johnny Depp?
Yeah, 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 Depp. So yeah, so they did a film about the barber. Just look up film
Okay, well, maybe we don't want to talk about film,
with Depp
your favorite movies.
and Elena.
Uh-huh. But anyway, okay, we get it that you fancy Helena Bonham Carter, who is this year 58 years old.
I mean, still would though.
I'm sure you wouldn't say no. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so how was your Christmas, by the way?
Yeah, it was nice. It was still some leftovers to finish off. I guess it's been quite fattening, but I've enjoyed myself.
Is it
Just
family
the excess of
orientated?
it. Um, yeah, I had a friend over. Um, that was fun. Um, well, it's always more fun with company. So yeah.
Wow, that sounds kind of sad, Claire. I feel like you've missed out.
What? Because I had a guest over.
No,
I,
I don't know if you really you know entrenched yourself into the Anglo spirit of Christmas.
well, I'm aware of its conventions of cooking Christmas dinner and listening to the King's speech as it now is, and that sort of thing. And watching too
Uh,
much TV and going for a walk on Boxing Day, that sort of thing.
yeah, I mean, okay.
What is
I,
the routine in Oz? You have your Christmas Barbie, do you?
yeah, I mean, this year was interesting. We just, I I drove my grandmother to my parents' house in the hills, and then we partook in just a lot of food for like 2 days. And then I flew a drone with my father over ancestral land. So we traveled north with my mother and father, and we went on a bit of a hike on the old train line.
Hmm.
And then we set up the drone, and then I flew the drone back towards the house, and we got some good footage of the land that we could have had that we now don't own.
Oh,
Um,
yes, you were saying your grandfather sold the farm.
yeah,
Hmm. And do you know the new owners?
that's a work in progress.
Hmm.
Is there a
Hmm.
way legally I can get the land without spending money? As a lawyer, can you tell me about this? Because it was in my family for a while, maybe 2 or 3 generations at least.
You're sounding a bit Jewish, Rob.
Yeah, I know, right? Maybe that these are the tricks that we need to, uh, do.
Well,
Couldn't
yes,
think of a
you'll
better
have to have
word.
a good think about it.
Execute. Yeah.
But you know that British farmers are up in arms about inheritance tax and what the Labour government,
Yeah.
because it's charging inheritance tax or something. I'm not quite sure. Um, I mean, they've been protesting about a whole range of issues. But I know it's about inheritance tax this time. But
They're
it's
just
not just
trying to
British
get
farmers.
the old stock off the land. That's all they're doing. It's been going on for generations.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, and actually recently I was talking about inheritance tax with a friend, and it's like, well, under Islam, you don't need inheritance tax. You cannot justify it.
Yeah. What about like, ancestral land ownership? Does Islam have, you know, some power there or no?
Well, I mean, the point of Islam is that, you have to divide your property in the following shares. And, so, and people, and some people say it's unfair because, the female gets half of that, of the male offspring. And there'll be other things, and illegitimate offspring don't get anything at all. But this is very familiar to Victorians, I would have thought. All these ideas like, well, only legitimate children inherit unless there is a special, mention of in the will about, a bequest to whoever, and basically a third of the estate enjoys freedom of disposition. So, you got to give, your children, your parents, your brothers, whatever, what is there, allotted shares, and then you have a third of it to do whatever you want with it. You can't leave everything to the dog's home or the cat's home and leave your children disinherited. But this led me
Mm,
to think, well, can't you disinherit your children? But I was thinking, under secular Quranism, you can disinherit your offspring, and but they would have to go on the register of disinherited, people. So it's all above board. They know about it.
yeah.
Not
I
oh.
saw a movie today with my dad.
Mhm.
Not to bring up movies again.
What was the movie you saw?
It was holy shit, I gotta remember now. say something else, and then I'll look it up. Just
Okay. But obviously something I said about inheritance tax triggered your memory about that movie, which may have something to do with inheritance tax, I suppose, and or legitimate offspring or something of that nature. Um, hmm. And Rob has gone away. I guess I could talk about the inheritance, why farmers in the south are protesting in London about inheritance tax and don't care for the way they're being treated by the Labour government. And they're saying, it seems that these people think the food comes out of nowhere. And that's because the government is misspending people's taxes on useless schemes like the war in Ukraine. So the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, said that from April 2026, combined business and agricultural assets worth more than 1 million would be taxed at 20% when they're passed on to the next generation. This is half the standard rate of 40%. So, I guess a lot of people are going to lose their farms, and they are, but this is good news for me selling secular Quranism, because I'm telling them that under secular Quranism there will be no inheritance tax. So even if you hate Islam, there might be some advantages that you cannot say no to. So this is really the genius of the Quran, really, because it is a book of bargains that is bound
so
to.
if secular Quranism was, the law tomorrow, how would we punish these people that had taken the land previously via the tax?
Well, you would have to buy it back, I guess, because they did pay something for the land. So if you want it back, you can get it back. If both of you can agree on a price for it. But I think there will be a lot of price changes for all kinds of things, because adopting secular Quranism would be a revolutionary move, and and under such a transition, it would also mean that there will be changes in property prices, because usury would also be abolished, and it is usury that causes property prices to become unaffordable for ordinary folk.
Based.
You like the sound of
See,
it?
this is where I kind of hate on my fellow anglers, because I'm like, sure, the Quran is gonna ruin everyone's lives in the future or whatever, but I'm like, yeah, but inheritance tax and
Starting at 40%.
actual banning of usury, let's fucking go, right? No, fellow
The thing
anglers,
is, it doesn't even
hello.
say you. Yeah, and it doesn't even say, well, you have to be Muslim to enjoy the, all these Quranic principles. The Quran just says you have to obey these laws, but you can, believe whatever the hell you like. It'd be preferable if you became Muslim and better for your afterlife, but nobody's forcing you. And if you
Anyway,
read the
so the
Quran
movie I
properly,
saw, yeah. Sorry, continue.
yeah, I was just going to say, if you read the Quran properly, it's always going on about these non-Muslims, these people of the book, these Jews, these Christians, and so in the mind of whoever wrote the Quran, Muslims believe it is God, obviously, is telling Muslims this is how you deal with these non-Muslims, and they come in several categories. And so the presumption is that there will be non-Muslims, and Muslims have to deal with them in obviously a fair way. And we have to remember that when Muhammad returned to Mecca after being kicked out of it, lots of Meccans were not Muslim. They were probably horrified that they had to become Muslim, right? And I think their idols were destroyed, but basically the law, the legal system under Muhammad was fair enough that they didn't just go crazy and rebel and try and overthrow the system. But you can see in the Quran that there are provisions made for rebels who spread corruption in the land, and what to do with them. So yeah, it does deal with these situations.
What does the Quran say about people that aren't of the book, i.e., pagans?
Well, there is a verse that tells Muslim men that they can marry people of the book, but not idolatresses. So they can marry Christian women and they can marry Jewesses as well as Muslim women, but not idolatresses. Um, so that's it. But so there is a slightly different rule to men. So if a Muslim woman wants to marry a non-Muslim, he would have to convert to Islam, because the presumption is that the woman, being weaker, would eventually lose her religion if the man does not himself become, if a husband does not himself become Muslim. So you might say slightly
Right.
stricter rules for Muslim women about
Yeah.
who
Well,
they're
it's
allowed
like
to marry.
a kind of a soft witch burning. It's
It's
like,
not
yeah,
witch
we're not going
burning.
to
It's
burn
just
you
saying,
at the stake. We're just saying, like, if you can find a man, then you're good. Right?
well, yes, because the idea is that it takes into account a woman's situation, in that if a Muslim woman were to marry a non-Muslim man, in his household, and being provided for by him, and coming into contact with his family members, pressure will eventually be exerted on her that she will find irresistible to give up her religion. But as far as a man, the husband is concerned, when he marries a non-Muslim Jewess or Christian
Yeah.
woman, it's like, well, she's not going to make you Muslim man change your religion, so it's okay for you to marry non-Muslim women,
Right.
provided they're not idolatresses, and so.
How does it deal with? Well, I don't know if it is expressly dealt with within the Quran, but your system, how would you deal with conversos,
Well,
right?
they can.
It's people of a certain faith that say they are Christian, but they're actually, a Jew or whatever.
Well, the thing is, you can't prevent people for converting to any religion without believing in it, because a lot of it is, well, I'm just converting to marry whoever, or I'm converting because being a member of the mainstream religion would help my career. You see, so I know a lot of strict, well, Orthodox Jews saying, do not marry somebody who's just converted in order to marry you. It won't go well, So they're saying, if you have to marry somebody who wasn't a born Jew, the least you can do is marry marry them after they have converted, and know that they didn't convert to your religion because of you, kind of thing. But other religions are not so strict. It's saying, well, it's good enough, and whatever their reason, as long as they convert to your religion, that's fine, as long as you're not converting to their religion, or just saying, we'll just agree to disagree and whatever. But I mean, you get, I mean, like Camilla Parker Bowles. I think she had this arrangement with her Catholic husband that the children would be brought up Catholic.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends on, I guess, who is more, into his or her religion to give it up. I mean, in the end, it's like, well, how are the children going to be brought up? They can't be confused about their religious identity. So, one of them has to agree to give up their religion. But, I don't think Christians take their religion that seriously. Well, not now, anyway. Not in, not in the 21st century. Because it was always political, is what I think is the case.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, Anora was the film that we saw, right?
Oh, right.
And it's basically about a Jewish whore in New York who gets with the son of a Russian oligarch, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he kind of seduces her, or she seduces him. It doesn't matter, right? And then they end up like partying in New York, because he has money, and throws, a New York party, a New Year's Eve party that is like grandiose, and so she invites some of her friends who may or may not be fellow whores, right? I shouldn't use this term so harshly. Strippers, I guess you would say. Is a stripper a whore? I don't know. That's kind of up
You
for
could
debate.
say she's a burlesque dancer.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, a burlesque dancer. Yeah. Who, takes her opportunities where they come, right? So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, and what the movie was kind of vague on her family, but basically she doesn't have a family. I don't. Yeah, it doesn't really. I think she was asked the question once, like, why don't we see your family? And she never really answered the question. The premise is that basically she has no family, or she's ashamed to uh,
Introduce her
allow
family.
this. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so the Russian oligarch, has her for a little while, and then the goons come in because he doesn't actually have any money of his own on his own spreadsheet. It's just his parents' money, and they're worried about his lifestyle, so they come in and send some goons in, and this kind of awkward scene where the goons are kind of trying to ascertain what's going on, and he basically he just flees the scene because it's kind of, well, it's not obvious at that point in time, but it's kind of up in the air. Is he for real? So they ended up getting they partied too hard and they got married in Vegas, right? So was the marriage an actual marriage and so on. And it turns out if you get married in Nirvana,
Nevada.
Nirvana, yeah. Good segue joke. Yeah, it's like not recognized. Well, no, it's recognized by the federal government, but it's not like the federal government can't annul the marriage in Nevada. Apparently, you have to.
Right, it's like getting married in Gretna Green or something.
Yeah, so you have to annul the marriage in Nevada. You can't annul the
Mm-hmm.
marriage in any other state or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where actually American state laws are pretty cool. But anyway, so state authority in America and so on. I don't know if you've looked up the legal stuff when it comes to states in America. But anyway, so yeah, so where was I? This is a whole thing, but basically it comes down to the fact that the the son of the Russian oligarch wasn't like a real man, and he fled the scene basically, and the goon, that like tried basically just, and it wasn't even violent. He was just kind of trying to hold, the wife, the so-called wife, the woman who was recently married to the Playboy, just stop her from harming herself or others, right? And because he did that act of service really to to his master, so to speak, she kind of respected him, because he was stoic. And all the other men around her in this party scene were kind of flippant. They weren't real men. They were just boys. Just partying basically, right? So in the end, she kind of falls for this kind of soldier who I called him a goon before, but basically he's a soldier for the oligarch, but he has his own mind to a certain extent, um, and she respected him, for that. She respected him because he stuck to his principles and so on. Anyway, it doesn't really, and the main question is she like a worthy woman? Like, is she a real like human being who isn't just a whore, right? And you mentioned burlesque dancer. That's maybe a more apt term, because sure, she did like, play around with the clientele, you know what I mean? Like, right? But ultimately she kind of wanted a man to step up, and this soldier who was one of the Russian goons turns out to be a great guy. He saves her wedding ring, convinces her to, well, no, he doesn't actually. He never. Well, this is kind of the male female dynamic, but he never really like presses her on any kind of issue, but he just defends her from the worst of the Playboy lifestyle or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he just kind of like subtly, as a stoic man, just kind of allows her to be a female, but doesn't really like make sure that no one does her harm, right? So anyway, so the movie ends where they're in the car and he gives her back the wedding ring, and she's, this is after a whole hilarious affair with the Russians trying to, track her down and track him down and make sure the Playboy gets back. And it turns out he's a bitch because he's not really going to marry her, and so on and so forth. And so, she's kind of depressed, but she's the typical like fiery New Yorker, New York dude doesn't take any shit from anyone, right? So, she's got a mouth on her, and she fights back and so on. And the Russian is just totally stoic throughout the whole film, and then he drops her off at her residence, and she's not well off or whatever. She's just lived the famous lifestyle of a Russian oligarch in New York, and she turns around and tries to seduce him like in an overtly sexual way, like a like a whore would do, like a stripper would do, she puts on a burlesque show a little bit in the car. Turns out the car's just like it's a Lander or whatever it is, the standard car that the communists made. What is it, like I think it's a Lander or a Lander or something, whatever, right? It's not a flashy car. It's not like capitalism, right? It's the other side of capitalism, right? It's a functional vehicle, right? And she asks,
Skoda.
yeah, she asks him, like what, this car is a little bit like your personality, right? And he says, well, this is my grandmother's car, okay? And then he gives her back the ring, and she's, put out by that because, whatever. And
He gives
she,
her the ring. What, she bought him
yeah,
a ring?
no, okay. So the Russian oligarch's son, I can't remember his name, he bought her a ring. Like in Vegas, they got married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in Nevada, right?
What is the title of this movie again?
You're interested.
You can't remember because
you're interested now.
Yeah,
Anora.
because you said Nora. The two.
Anora.
How'd you spell that?
Anora.
Okay, because I mean, there are two movies called Nora, and they sound nothing like the movie that you mentioned. Okay,
It's
now I have the
Nora.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyway, so and maybe I shouldn't give away the whole movie, but turns out she seduces him in the car because he was the stoic one. He was the real man, right, in the whole scene, and she kind of realizes it. So she does her whole whore thing, right, on the man in the car, in the Skoda, as you said, right? And then he tries to kiss her, okay? And I don't know if you know about this, but there's this kind of thing with strippers and whores that you don't kiss. The kiss is sort of the ultimate like recognition of like intimacy. Okay, so they don't want to experience actual intimacy. They just want to deal with a man's dick, right? They just want to sort that out and move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they can go on the dick for however long, but they're never gonna kiss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he tries to kiss her, and he grabs her face, and there's a bit of a struggle, right? Because he's confused, and maybe he should force the issue, but he decides to let go, right? Because he realizes something's a bit off here. I don't want to force the issue. Okay, and then she collapses into his chest and cries, and that's how the movie ends, because her life has been ruined by sexual desire and so on, and he's the first real man to step up and by his actions, not by his words. And she realizes that, and I get, well, whether she does consciously or not, she weeps. From the trauma, maybe from the sexual trauma. I don't know, but no, it was a great film, and the ending scene was great. Yeah,
Okay, good. Did your father enjoy it?
yeah, a lot, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know it won the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, it's been highly rated. That was the only reason we went and saw it, because we were like, "What's on?" Blah blah blah. There's like a whole heap of child movies on, and yeah, this was the one that we saw because we wouldn't have saw it. I was trying to make my parents watch, what we do in the shadows. Because it's a funny movie. But this movie was, yeah. He got like 5 stars on Rotten Tomatoes. So my dad was like, "Yeah, we should watch this."
Hmm. All right. So it's a rom-com. Is it a rom-com? Yes, it's a comedy drama.
Yeah, it's basically a rom com. Yeah, but it's
Mm.
deeper than the average rom com. Yeah.
Hmm. And it was directed by Sean Baker, who I actually haven't heard of him.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of him either.
Hmm. He's best known for directing independent feature films about the lives of marginalized people, especially immigrants and sex workers.
There you go.
Mm. And yes, he's American. Hmm. Cool. And he's married to Samantha Kwan, um, who is his producer. Hmm. He suffered from opiate addiction in his 20s.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Interesting.
Right.
The
Haha.
film was laden with drug use.
Hmm. Right.
Anyway, I was listening to Hymn of the Cherubim. Do you know this hymn or this tune, Claire?
Uh, no, I haven't heard of this song. Is it Hymn of the Cherubim? Um,
Yeah, it was written by the great Russian um uh what's the word when you write music?
compose?
Composer, yeah. Uh,
Hmm. Oh, it's by Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky, yeah.
Right. Oh yes, I did watch Swan Lake over Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the first time I actually settled down to watch, a ballet properly, and you know,
I
it,
think
it
it's highly rated by the Orthodox bros.
what Swan Lake,
No, him of the cherubim.
right? Now, what is that about?
Well, I guess it's like the angels, the children, the child angels, the smaller angels.
Right, because really the Russian Orthodox Church are very strict,
Yeah,
and full of hatred for other Christians, and you talk to a lot of these who these white people who are obviously white nationalists, converting to Orthodox Christianity. And I've been basically saying, look, you're actually lessening your chances of marrying by becoming Orthodox Christians, because then you're obliged only to marry Orthodox Christians, and there aren't that many of them around.
In the West, there aren't. Yeah, in the East, there's a lot of them. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I was saying, well, it's very unlikely that there will be enough white people, going to adopt a different non-native form of Christianity, to make it
Yeah.
worthwhile, converting to it. And I was trying to tell these people, and I guess they got a bit annoyed with me, because I was saying, actually, if you became Muslim, you would be able to marry Jews, Jewesses, and Christian women, as well as Muslim women, but not
Yeah.
idolatresses, So, um, yeah, because I was talking to one of them, and I said, well, you might want to consider visiting a mosque. And the person who converted to Orthodox Christianity said, well, actually, I'm not even allowed to go into the place of religious worship of another Christian, let alone a different religion altogether. So.
Well, they're what do you call it? They're doctrine, I guess you would say, is very strict in terms of like when it comes to idols, right? You're all about ideology. Oh God.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I mean they don't like
worship of
Catholics much either, because there was some
yeah,
schism in the 10th century or something,
yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot of them were
That's your
killed by
whole thing
Catholics.
is ideology. No, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I mean,
Idol worship.
basically, I think Muslims do it too. You learn about some ridiculous argument, and you think it can't be really what they're arguing about. They're just scrabbling around to find something to pick a fight with the other side about, even though there's really nothing. The real reason is nothing to do with doctrine, but to do with politics. Um, and
Yeah,
I
I
yeah.
did. This is where you say obviously our whole thing, and maybe maybe I've come around to this recently, but our whole thing is rule by the best, right? I think Richard Spencer said this once, like, he was asked, who would you rather be like, who would you like to be governed by? And he said, the best, right? The best of our species, the best of our people, right? The best that is available, right? Is this not your, like, if you boil it down to the absolute basics, would you agree with this sentiment, Claire? Or
Sure, I mean that we should be ruled by the best, but
yeah,
people get confused about you know um, what is the best. I mean, do they mean the ruling classes? But they can be corrupt and incompetent. So that's why we have to be specific. We want a meritocracy. Do you see? I mean, we have to have the words in mind,
yeah,
about
or
who's supposed to be.
maybe a different word would be a moral autocracy, i.e., the most moral, the people that are the best at being moral, right?
Yeah, and it has been said that monarchy is the opposite of meritocracy,
Okay,
and
yeah.
you can see
Interesting.
why. In the sense that the man preparing to inherit his father's throne is bound to be entitled.
Yeah.
Like Commodus, if you remember the story of Gladiator.
Yeah, or the classic example, which is staring us in the face, or at least it was a few years ago, is Biden's son. What's his name?
Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter Biden, right? He's the classic story of the rich man's son, right? Because everything is given to him. This is the same the same person in the movie that I just mentioned. The son of the oligarch. He's just a party boy with everything given to him with no morals, right?
Yeah, so whether we are a republic or monarchy is very important indeed. If you're thinking politically, you have to think in these terms. But what I've noticed talking to colonials, Canadians and Australians and New Zealanders, is that most of you are very pro-monarchy. And I'm saying, okay, Britain is a constitutional monarchy, but that it actually confuses the issue. So people think, oh, but he's not an absolute monarch. He's not throwing his weight around and you know signing off death warrants and throwing us into dungeons like the absolute monarch of Saudi Arabia is. And so everybody thinks, oh, but so it's okay that, it's a harmless institution. And it's sort of, well, so many things are not clear. I've been saying, look, Australians, you're not really Australian, you don't really have a constitution, and neither do the British, because we're a monarchy. But
Yeah.
yeah. And the Muslims, they're also very confused, because it was only last week that I discovered that the Sunnis were actually the first Republicans. But now talking to a Sunni, they don't even know. But anyway, the point is that the four rightly guided caliphs were not kings. And it was the Shias who were saying Ali should have inherited because he was related to Muhammad or something, and
Yeah.
this suggests that they have monarchistic tendencies. But now Iran is a republic. But of course, there's always a danger of the supreme leader of Iran giving the job to his son when he goes, and this will
Yeah.
make it, seem like a monarchy again. But the
Yeah.
thing is, but there are lots of republics that are monarchies in disguise, like North Korea or Singapore. Until now, because the line is lost because the current Singaporean prime minister only has a daughter, and the daughter is not suffers from some mental disability or something.
But I guess
So
the other side of the coin is if it's like a democracy or whatever it is, right? Another form of passing the power on to the next generation. It's not guaranteed that they're going to be morally sound, right?
well, that's the thing. So I've been trying to explain to Vincent. I don't know if you know of his idea of making women become extinct and making all the
Oh,
men
yeah,
dead.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
aware.
yeah, and I'm saying, how are you going to um, choose the next leader? Because at least in a patriarchy, there is a kind of informal rule of thumb. So it's like saying, no bachelor will ever become our national leader, because our national leader should at least show that he's capable of getting a woman to marry him, producing children for him, and that his adult children are not a disgrace to him. And it's only then that we might, dispose ourselves into believing, to giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So immediately, you're saying no gay person, no bachelor, no childless person, and no childless married father. sorry, no childless married man, and you kind of, eliminate the others and say only such a man, who is married with grown up adult children who are a credit to him, would we consider, making him be the, leader of our country. And this is
Mhm.
how, why it's so important to have patriarchy.
Do you think
Because
it's true, like, because what's his name? The Jolly Heretic. What's his name?
it doesn't.
Ed Dutton talks about this idea of uh, the West. It's kind of like at least it was not now, but it was a system that allowed the genius to flourish, right? The genius strategy he talks about, right? The the
Hmm.
the that it was a society, whether it was left or right or whatever it was, right? It allowed the genius to you know the resources of the time or whatever it was to be what they could be. This kind of sounds like the American hippie view of, you know, allow someone to be who they can be, right? But it wasn't that. It was deeper, right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about a libertarian state that is also a meritocracy? Is that
I
what you're?
guess, yeah, I guess, yeah. Like I'm thinking of Shakespeare, right? So Shakespeare wasn't necessarily he was like what, like upper middle class, or was he like lower aristocracy, right?
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah,
Shakespeare went to a grammar school, which suggests
yeah,
that
so
his parents were
lower
not wealthy.
aristocracy, right? He wasn't like yeah, but he wasn't like part of the ruling class, and he wasn't part of the lower classes, right?
Hmm. He was a hardworking and clever lower middle class
Yeah, meritocracy,
boy.
right?
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
do we allow for the genius strategy?
Well, I mean, you can only um, hope that the best of your natural talent um, is nurtured through their school year. So that's why it's so important to to take an interest in education and schools. But if most
Yeah.
people are not married, they're not going to care about education policy.
Mm.
And that's why it was so easy for the government to, roll in their gay marriage and transgenderism and critical theory and all that shit that they're indoctrinating children with.
Mm.
Because,
But
there weren't enough people, who had fathers, getting angry about this shit.
yeah. But I would argue, I don't know if you agree with me here. This is going to be maybe controversial to your point of view, but I would argue that I wouldn't want Shakespeare to rule, right? Because he's a creative. He's gonna shape society. Let him cook as the Gen X, whatever what is it now? Gen Z, the Zoomers, right? Let him cook, right? I would argue that he needs time. A genius needs time, right? And not necessarily money, but just time and resources enough to live, right? Okay, but I wouldn't necessarily want Shakespeare to be, an emperor, right? I don't necessarily agree with the whole philosopher king situation in Greece, right? I don't know if philosophers are good at like managing an empire, right? I don't think Shakespeare should manage an empire. I think he needs to tell his stories, right? Obviously, I think we need geniuses to do what they do, but I don't necessarily think they should be, we say rule by the best, but the best of what, right? The best of playwriting? Maybe not, right? Because how do we allow for playwriting but also allow for governance, right?
Well, I think China might have got it most correctly out of all the countries because they actually have a party school. If you join the only party allowed in China, there's a party training school. And basically, I mean, there's even a cartoon video explaining how the Chinese do it, which is basically, well, if you want to become president of China, it would take you around 20 years. And in the meantime, you will be assessed, and they will, at every stage, and they'll keep, seeing if you can, go from low to high. There's a kind of cursus honorium, I think it's called in a career um, path for the aspiring Roman politician. He has to be, you know, he has to be a kind of counselor, and then he goes, he does around. So I'm not, I haven't got the structure off the top of my head, but basically, you have to start as a counselor and then work your way up to, the dictator.
Yeah, sure. Do you know what I'm saying though? Like, what I'm saying is like geniuses don't necessarily need to be up 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 the top. Like someone
Oh
needs to
no,
be
no, no!
the
You
top
have to
in
have.
order for geniuses to be geniuses.
Yeah, yeah, because a poet is not probably, going to be suitable, for public affairs. You
Yeah,
actually need somebody who's interested in
and
politics.
if a poet was forced or corralled into being a ruler, he would no longer be a poet, right?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's called cursus honorum, in Latin, and it was how you would get to the top of the Roman political ladder if you wanted to do that sort of thing. So it's okay. So it says it's a sequential order of public officers, or more colloquially, ladder of officers held by aspiring politicians in the Roman Republic in the early Roman Empire. It was designed for men of senatorial rank, and I guess the highest position is consul, but they would only be there for 5 years in a row.
Mm.
So, but we know that the Romans changed it. But yeah, it's like even with well, now, it's like, yeah, you have to become a counselor, and there is a definite career path to the whole thing. Or maybe they call it, accelerated um, promotion. If you go to university and you go to a good university, then you become a research assistant, and maybe one day you become an MP, and then you want to become, to be one of the more important government departments like defense secretary, home secretary, finance secretary, defense secretary, and finally prime minister. That's how it's supposed to run in this country, in the UK. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think of Black Sabbath. Do you know this band, Black Sabbath?
sure.
Right. And they were just like, factory workers, metal shop workers. Not even that. Some of them were, I think, Ozzy Osbourne was famously, he turned up to the first recording session with no shoes on. So, we're talking
Hmm.
lower class plus, right?
Hmm.
And yet genius, like genius lyrics, genius music, like, but created a whole new genre, like heavy metal, right?
Hmm. Oh,
So,
was it him who started the whole thing? The Black Sabbath person?
well, he was the singer. I mean, the other guys couldn't sing. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, so it was Deep Purple. Was it Deep Purple? Or am I talking? Am I confusing?
No, 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 no,
Heavy
no, no,
metal
no, no,
music.
no, no, no. Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath.
Okay, it was led by Ozzy Osbourne, and Deep
Yeah.
Purple was somebody else. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Deep Purple. Deep Purple was. I think they were Australian. No, are they
No,
Australian?
they were
No,
heavy metal.
I think they were English. Yeah.
Yeah, but Ozzy Osbourne was American. Yeah, I know him. Biting off the heads of pigeons or something.
No, no, no. He wasn't American. He went to America after making money, but no, he was a lot. He was a. I think he was on welfare from Birmingham. They were all Birmingham boys.
Oh yes, yes. Ozzy Osbourne was indeed
Yeah,
British. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
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 yeah. So according to Wikipedia, heavy metal music it was started in 1968. The genre's most famous pioneers were Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and Deep Purple.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Black Sabbath, the absolute god of guitar, who I worship to this day, was he had his two of his fingers cut off in a metal shop. He worked in a metal shop for years, right before playing guitar. And part of the sound was that he wore thimbles on his stubs, uh, on his fingers that were cut off, and that was part of the Black Sabbath sound. So yeah,
He was a slaughterhouse worker as well.
yeah, 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 yeah. Look up the guitarist from Black Sabbath, lead
Um,
guitarist.
I don't even know his name. Um, okay, Black Sabbath, you say?
Yeah, just look up the names in Black Sabbath. I'll tell you who the lead guitarist is.
Uh, what? Tony Iommi?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Tony Iommi. Yeah, yeah. He worked in a manufacturing plant, like a metal factory, and he cut off part of his fingers from like a drop saw or something.
Hmm.
And then yeah, put thimbles on and just became a guitar god after that.
Right, right. He was
The other
working
thing
in
that
a
they
metal
don't
factory.
mention on the mainstream is they were heavily into the occult. They were
Hmm.
big into Aleister Crowley, and they were also dabbling in the occult on the side.
Hmm.
Um, I guess it's part of their class. I don't know. This is what I'm saying, Claire. The creative, what? So we're like, okay, we want the perfect society, but my perfect society is Shakespeare. My perfect society is Black Sabbath, right? My perfect society, not necessarily like that's all there is, right? I don't want like everyone to be a Black Sabbath, like, goth, like, acolytes or whatever. But I want these people to thrive, right? So how do we allow these alternate, you know, these alternate paths, these acolytes, these goth, geniuses, right, to thrive within a society where, we have control, right? How do we allow the geniuses to thrive? Is my question.
Well, there's nothing to stop them. I mean, are you saying you're afraid that heavy metal music would be banned under secular Quranism? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I mean, there's much worse stuff now
No,
that's
no, no, no,
allowed.
no, 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 no. I guess I'm asking you, like, how, like, yeah, my question is, um, in what society did Shakespeare grow up in? And that's the society that I want to live under. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
the Tudors used torture as public entertainment.
Okay, well, maybe that's my answer then. Maybe we need the most harsh society ever, and then the geniuses will rise up. I don't know.
We
Maybe
just
that's
need to
my
make the
answer.
punishment fit the crime, basically.
Yeah.
There
So
will be no
maybe
perfect
it's a
society.
moral society, a moral order.
There will be no perfect society. There will be, a good enough or fair enough society, and that's, I think the best we can hope for. That
Yeah.
there aren't stupid laws for us to, get angry about. So if the laws are fair enough, then more people will obey them from generation to generation. But if they're obviously crazy or stupid or evil, then people will question them all the time.
Yeah.
And,
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and this is basically it. If people think, oh, it's fair enough, it's a fair cop gov, then you will probably get away with it. Even if not everything is perfect. It's only when, who made you the boss? Why are you still here? Kind of questions that you think, maybe you should rethink your entire system.
Yeah. So I'm just reading the chat here. Bird's nest, rat best.
Yes, I think he
Bird's
comes from a
nest,
Muslim background.
interesting name. Yes, magic sorcery is outlawed. Interesting. But
But it's
the
also outlawed in Christianity because witches were.
yeah, but the Muslims like talk to the jinn, do they not? Like they realize jinn exist, right? At least the Muslims realize otherworldly beings exist, right? Or are they just demons or what?
Um, well, I suppose Buddhists also believe in spirits. I suppose it's like people are just going to believe in these things, so I guess we can't, not forbid them. So Jews and Christians and Muslims are supposed to believe in angels and yeah, spirits or
Yeah,
jinn.
I mean, even the Orthodox know that, there are like entities beyond our mind. I guess the fear is that, the entities will corrupt society or something, right?
Well, I mean, what is
That's
not
kind of
not
the fear.
yeah. So it's like people are just going to imagine these things exist, and actually, angels are supposed to be sent, from by God to solve a few problems here and there. So yeah, angel and demon. Yeah,
Mm,
Christians used to believe in that, which is why you have so many, stories about succubus and incubus and
yeah.
that kind of thing. Um, and they
Or
had to
like
take the
the
whole thing
the the
seriously.
fairy the fairies in Ireland. Like even Irish grandmothers still talk to fairies.
Yeah, I think the idea is that you as long as you don't pretend that you can control these spirits, people are allowed to believe in them, and if you do believe in them, you can only believe that they are sent by God, or are under the authority of God. So you never, get too frightened about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the people that don't get frightened, and kind of treat them like buddies, or not even buddies, but just like acquaintances, are the ones that create art. Anyway, so on that note, I'm gonna have to step out. Thank you so much for the amazing conversation, Claire. I'm glad we revisited the Rob and Claire show. I know you like to call it the Claire and Rob show, but I feel like it should be the Rob and Claire show.
When it's on your channel, you can call it the Rob and Claire Show.
Okay, that's the stipulation. All right.
Well, you should try the
I'm gonna have to do some
the
shorts.
Yeah. So I think as long as you get 500 views, and then you I mean, YouTube is just basically making you work for your your live streaming.
Sure. It's amazing how, well, whatever. 500 views, that's not gonna happen.
Okay, maybe if you do it on your computer, it might happen earlier. I think it just applies to mobile streaming. So
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
so maybe if you tried it, or if you want to do it now, we can do a quick one, and then, or whatever you want. But I think
Yeah, I'll try it out. We'll see. Anyway, thank you
okay.
so much, Ben.
All right.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
All
Bye,
right.
Rob. Thank you for
See ya.
coming. Bye.